7 things you should never give to your children. Wisdom for living. Stoicism. It is not what you give your children, but what you teach them to give themselves, that will make them successful human beings. Ann Landers. Have you ever stopped to consider whether your well-intentioned actions might be doing more harm than good for your children? Imagine you're nearing retirement, and all you want is to secure a bright future for them. But what if I told you that there are 7 things you should never give your children, even if your heart tells you otherwise? The final one might shock you. Before we dive in, I want you to pay close attention to this story, as it will be crucial to grasping the profound lesson we're about to unfold. Meet Sarah, a newly retired woman overflowing with enthusiasm to support her children. She was ready to shower them with money, gifts, and every advantage she could provide, believing it was the best path to their happiness and success. Does this sound familiar to you? But just before Sarah could proceed with her plans, a wise friend, Mr. Thompson, shared a piece of wisdom that made her stop in her tracks. "Sarah," he said gently, "sometimes giving too much is like giving a plant too much sunlight. Instead of helping it grow, you could be causing it to wither." Sarah was about to discover that her well-meaning generosity could turn into a dangerous trap for her children. Welcome to Stoic in Your Life, where we explore the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and how it can guide us in making better choices for ourselves and those we love. Today, we will uncover the 7 things you should never give to your children. Stay with us. The insights from this video could change the way you think about generosity forever. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Seneca. Have you ever wondered how well-meaning intentions can lead to unintended consequences? Today we're diving deep into a lesson that's crucial for anyone navigating the waters of parenthood, particularly when it comes to financial wisdom. In the story of Carlos, we find a perfect example of how a seemingly positive situation can quickly become detrimental. Carlos, buoyed by an unexpected windfall, made a choice that felt right in the moment. He quit his job thinking, "Why should I keep working hard when I have enough?" But this decision, driven by the allure of easy money, led him directly into a trap. This isn't just Carlos's story. It's a cautionary tale that reflects a widespread issue known as the rich heir syndrome. Dr. Roy Williams, an expert on wealth management and author of Preparing Your Children for a Billion-Dollar Future, has found that 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the 2nd generation and a staggering 90% by the 3rd. But what lies behind these statistics? The answer is not as obvious as it seems. Picture this: being given a large, delicious cake every day. At first, it's a thrill. You indulge, enjoying the abundance. But soon, the novelty wears off, and what once brought joy now brings indifference or even discomfort. You stop wanting to learn how to bake or even appreciate the effort that goes into making the cake. Your health might decline as you overindulge in something that was once a treat. The comparison to money is clear. When wealth is handed over without effort, it can lead to a decline in personal growth, a loss of ambition, and an erosion of values. As the famous psychologist Abraham Maslow once noted, if the only tool you have is a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. In the case of Carlos, his windfall became his hammer. He started to see every problem, every challenge, through the lens of money. With this narrow perspective, he lost sight of the broader skills needed to navigate life. Skills like resilience, creativity, and the satisfaction derived from personal achievement. Consider for a moment how this applies to modern life. We live in a world that often equates happiness and success with material wealth, but the truth is far more nuanced. Giving your children everything on a silver platter can inadvertently rob them of the chance to learn essential life skills. As Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wisely said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, It is through facing and overcoming obstacles that we grow stronger. If we remove every obstacle from our children's paths, how will they ever learn to navigate life's inevitable challenges? When wealth and comfort are guaranteed, the drive to strive, innovate, and grow can diminish. This is why so many heirs of wealthy families fall into the trap of entitlement and complacency. They become like Carlos, wielding money as a blunt tool, missing out on the deeper, more fulfilling tools of perseverance, hard work, and self-reliance. This brings us to a crucial point. Wealth, in itself, is not the enemy. It is how we approach it and what we do with it that counts. The ancient Stoics were clear on this matter. True wealth is not measured by what we have, but by what we are willing to live without. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." In teaching our children to want less and to find value beyond material possessions, we help them cultivate a richer, more resilient character. This is where the real wisdom lies. We must encourage them to see money as a tool, not a goal, a tool that can help build a meaningful life, but only when used wisely and with restraint. So, what's the takeaway for us as parents, mentors, and guides in this modern age? We must resist the urge to give too much too easily. Instead, we should focus on fostering qualities like grit, curiosity, and empathy in our children. Let's challenge them to solve problems without immediately resorting to the quickest or most comfortable solution. Let's encourage them to learn the value of hard work and the satisfaction of achieving something through their own efforts. It's not about withholding love or support, but about giving them the gift of self-reliance and resilience. By instilling these values, we provide them not just with the means to survive, but to thrive, regardless of their financial situation. We teach them that the real treasure lies not in the inheritance they receive, but in the wisdom, skills, and character they develop along the way. So next time you find yourself tempted to make life easier for your children by removing every hurdle, remember the story of Carlos and consider the words of the Stoic philosopher, Seneca. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. Let's dare to raise children who are rich in spirit, not just in wealth. But all is not lost. There is always a path to growth and learning. Think about the age-old wisdom. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. Elena could have taken a different approach with Carlos. Instead of handing him money, she could have invested time in teaching him financial literacy, fostering his entrepreneurial spirit, or even exploring the possibility of starting a small business together. These choices wouldn't just have provided immediate financial benefits. They would have equipped Carlos with skills, knowledge, and a sense of responsibility. Over 2,000 years ago, the philosopher Seneca cautioned against the perils of wealth without understanding its true value. It is not the man who has, but the one who desires more, who is poor. Carlos, despite his newfound wealth, lost his sense of purpose and direction, which made him poorer in spirit than ever before. Now reflect on your own situation. Are you considering giving your children a substantial gift? Before you do, take a moment to ask yourself, are you offering them a safety net to catch them when they fall? Or are you building a golden cage that could restrict their growth and potential? Are you giving them a springboard to chase their dreams, or just a comfortable sofa where their ambitions will lie dormant? It's easy to think that providing material wealth will secure a bright future for our children, but is it truly the right approach? Remember, the most valuable gifts are not the things we give, but the wisdom we impart, the resilience we cultivate, and the skills we help them develop to navigate the complexities of life. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history, put it best when he said, "I will leave enough money to my children so they can do something, but not so much that they can do nothing." This statement underscores a critical balance, providing just enough to open doors of opportunity without eliminating the drive to push those doors open themselves. Let's relate this to a story you might find closer to home. Picture a man named John, a successful businessman who built his company from the ground up. He was always determined that his children would never have to struggle as he did, so he decided to gift them substantial shares in his company, believing this would set them up for a prosperous life. But what happened? His children, unaccustomed to the challenges of managing a business, quickly found themselves overwhelmed. They had the resources but lacked the experience and understanding necessary to maintain and grow the company. Instead of a blessing, the inheritance became a burden. The business struggled, and so did John's children, not because they lacked the intelligence, but because they had never been given the chance to develop the skills and resilience needed to run a business successfully. What could John have done differently? He could have involved his children early on, teaching them the ropes, allowing them to face challenges, make mistakes, and learn from them, all under his guidance. This approach would have prepared them to handle the responsibilities that come with wealth and success. So, ask yourself, how can you apply this wisdom to your life and your children's futures? Are you preparing them to face life's challenges, or are you unintentionally shielding them from the very experiences that would help them grow? The choice is in your hands, and it requires thoughtful consideration. Perhaps the greatest gift we can offer our children is not a path cleared of obstacles, but the strength and skills to overcome those obstacles themselves. As parents, mentors, or guardians, our role is to guide them, not by removing every hardship, but by standing by their side as they learn to navigate their way through life's inevitable ups and downs. This approach aligns with the Stoic philosophy that values inner strength, resilience, and the ability to find peace amidst adversity. It's essential to recognize that true wealth is not just about money. It's about the knowledge, skills, and values we pass on to the next generation. Wealth without wisdom can lead to a lack of purpose and direction, just as we saw with Carlos. Instead of merely handing over resources, let's focus on teaching our children how to build and maintain their own. In this way, we not only help them secure their financial future, but also empower them to live fulfilling, meaningful lives. The lesson here is clear. Equip your children not just with the means to live, but with the means to thrive. Ask yourself, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? One of dependency and complacency, or one of independence and strength? The answer to that question will shape not just their future, but yours as well. Let's delve into the often overlooked pitfalls of giving property as a gift to your children. Picture this. Elena, a recently retired woman filled with love and good intentions, decides to surprise her daughter Anna with a seemingly wonderful gift. "Anna, dear," she says with a warm smile, "I want to give you our beloved summer house on the beach. It's yours now." At first glance, this appears to be a perfect gesture of generosity, almost like something out of a fairy tale. Anna's mind instantly races with thoughts of lazy, sun-drenched afternoons by the sea, hosting friends for weekend getaways, and making new family memories in a place that already holds so much sentimental value. It seems like the ideal gift, doesn't it? But let's pause for a moment and ask ourselves, could this beautiful dream morph into a financial burden? What if this seemingly generous gift ends up being more of a curse than a blessing? When we think about gifting property to our children, it often feels like a way to secure their future and provide them with something valuable. Yet we rarely consider the hidden responsibilities and potential drawbacks that come with such a gift. Have you thought about the financial obligations that Anna might now face? The summer house isn't just a charming getaway. It comes with property taxes, maintenance costs, insurance, and possibly unexpected repairs. For a young adult who may not yet have a stable income or significant savings, these expenses can quickly pile up and become overwhelming. Anna may find herself in a position where she needs to sell the house to cover these costs, or worse, she could fall into debt trying to maintain a property she was never fully prepared to handle. As the renowned philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This quote urges us to reconsider the true value of our gifts and whether they align with what truly benefits our loved ones. Think about it. Are we truly helping our children by gifting them something that might tie them down with unforeseen costs and obligations? Or are we inadvertently placing them in a golden cage, where the freedom and joy we intend to give them are overshadowed by the burden of upkeep and financial strain? It's essential to ask ourselves these questions before making such significant decisions. Have you ever been in a situation where something that seemed like a gift at first later turned out to be a burden? If so, you know exactly how Anna might feel as the reality of owning a property begins to set in. The initial excitement can quickly turn to anxiety when the hidden costs and responsibilities start to emerge. This is why it's so important to think beyond the immediate joy of giving and consider the long-term impact of our generosity. What alternatives could Elena have considered instead of gifting the house outright? She could have sat down with Anna and discussed other ways to support her financially, perhaps by helping with a down payment on a more manageable property that Anna could afford and maintain on her own, or by setting up a fund that Anna could use for education, travel, or starting her own business. These options might not have the immediate emotional appeal of gifting a family home, but they could provide Anna with more freedom, flexibility, and financial security in the long run. Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Instead of thinking in terms of grand gestures, we should focus on thoughtful, meaningful support that truly enhances our children's lives. Let's also consider the emotional weight that comes with inheriting a family property. For Anna, the beach house might carry memories of her childhood, family gatherings, and moments of joy. While these memories are precious, they can also become a heavy emotional burden if she feels obligated to keep the property, even when it no longer suits her lifestyle or financial situation. Gifting property can create an unspoken expectation that the recipient must keep and cherish it, even when it may not be the best decision for their future. How often do we give gifts that come with strings attached, even if those strings are not immediately apparent? As the saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Our well-meaning actions can sometimes lead to unintended consequences, especially when it comes to matters as significant as property and finances. Furthermore, there is the risk of creating family tensions or misunderstandings. What if Anna has siblings who feel entitled to a share of the property or believe that the gift is unfair? What if they resent Anna for receiving what they perceive as a more significant portion of the family wealth? These dynamics can strain relationships and lead to long-lasting conflicts that might have been avoided with more thoughtful planning and communication. Have you considered the impact of such decisions on the broader family dynamic? It's crucial to think about how your actions today might affect the relationships and harmony of your family in the future. So, what is the lesson here for all of us? Before making a grand gesture, take a step back and consider the broader picture. Ask yourself, what are the long-term implications of this gift? Am I truly helping my child? Or am I unintentionally creating more challenges for them? Instead of focusing solely on the emotional satisfaction of giving, we need to think critically about what will truly benefit our children in the long run. Perhaps the greatest gift we can give is not material wealth, but wisdom, guidance, and the ability to navigate life's challenges with resilience and independence. As parents and guardians, our goal should be to empower our children to build their own paths, not to bind them to ours. While the idea of gifting something as significant as a property may come from a place of love and generosity, it's essential to consider all the potential consequences. Reflect on your intentions, weigh the benefits against the burdens, and always keep in mind the well-being of your loved ones. As you contemplate the best ways to support your children, remember that sometimes the best gifts are not those that carry the most monetary value, but those that help them grow, learn, and thrive on their own terms. So, the next time you think about giving a gift, ask yourself, am I giving them a blessing or a burden? The answer could change the course of their future and yours. Thank you for being part of today's video. Before we proceed, I want to express my gratitude for your continued participation in our community. Your presence here means a lot, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts and experiences related to today's topic. Feel free to share your insights, ask questions, or simply comment, "I am a newbie" if you're new to the channel, or "I am a Stoic" if you've been part of our journey for a while. Your engagement is a great source of inspiration and motivation for us to keep bringing valuable content to you. Let's continue this journey together, embracing the wisdom of Stoicism to navigate life's challenges. Shall we? Are we truly helping our children by giving them more, or are we unwittingly placing burdens on their shoulders? This thought-provoking question captures the essence of today's discussion. As Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, wisely noted, "It is not the man who has little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Anna, a character in our story, was on the brink of realizing that sometimes a gift is not a blessing, but a hidden burden. Her mother, Elena, had lovingly decided to pass down the family's cherished summer home to her, thinking it would be a source of joy. However, what Elena failed to foresee were the hidden costs associated with the property, the annual taxes, the never-ending maintenance, and the inevitable unforeseen repairs. What initially seemed like a dream come true soon turned into a financial black hole, consuming Anna's savings at an alarming rate. This predicament, as alarming as it sounds, is far from rare. In reality, studies have shown that inherited properties often sow discord among family members, turning what was intended as a loving gesture into a source of tension and conflict. Does this situation sound eerily familiar? If you're not yet convinced, allow me to share the compelling story of the Martinez family, a case that will leave you pondering the true cost of such gifts. The Martinez family was known for their unity and close-knit bonds, a family that many admired for their harmony and strength. But all of that changed when the grandfather passed away, leaving behind his beloved old house. This inheritance, meant to be a symbol of his love and legacy, quickly spiraled into a source of strife. The family found themselves grappling with a series of dilemmas. Who would shoulder the burden of the costly repairs? Who would take on the responsibility of living in the house? Should they sell it and split the proceeds, or should they try to maintain it as a family heirloom? The once joyous family gatherings soon turned into heated debates, full of raised voices and slammed doors. What was supposed to be a gift to unite them in memory and spirit ended up driving a wedge between them, creating lasting rifts that were hard to mend. This brings us to a crucial point of reflection. Are we considering the full scope of our actions when we give something of substantial value to our children? Are we truly empowering them with a gift, or are we unknowingly setting them up for challenges they are not prepared to face? We must understand that not all gifts are created equal. A property, for instance, is not just a sentimental asset. It's a financial and emotional responsibility. And this responsibility can often be overwhelming, especially for those who are not financially prepared or emotionally ready to take it on. As the famous American businessman Warren Buffett once said, "You should leave your children enough to do something, but not enough to do nothing." It is a reminder that too much of a good thing can quickly become detrimental. In today's world, where financial stability is increasingly uncertain, passing down significant assets like property without adequate preparation can cause more harm than good. It's not just about the financial burden, but also about the psychological toll it takes on the recipient. Are we, perhaps, projecting our desires and expectations onto our children without fully considering their readiness or willingness to handle such a gift? This is a critical question to ask ourselves. We must think about the true implications of our generosity. Are we preparing our children for independence, or are we anchoring them to our own past dreams and aspirations? The answer is not always straightforward, and that is precisely why it's so important to have these discussions openly and honestly with our loved ones. Moreover, there's a valuable lesson here about the importance of fostering communication within the family. If the Martinez family had taken the time to discuss the implications of inheriting the house openly, They might have been able to avoid the subsequent conflicts and divisions. They could have planned better, perhaps deciding together on whether to sell the property or keep it, thus preserving their unity and family bond. This underscores the importance of discussing financial and emotional responsibilities well in advance. Open dialogue can prevent misunderstandings and ensure that everyone is on the same page, which is crucial when it comes to significant decisions that impact the entire family. In conclusion, the message here is clear. Think carefully before giving substantial gifts to your children. Consider not just the immediate joy, but the long-term consequences of your generosity. Are you giving them a burden disguised as a blessing? Are you helping them grow into responsible, self-sufficient adults, or are you unintentionally setting them up for hardship and conflict? Reflect on the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, who said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Think deeply about the true value of what you are offering and the potential impact it could have. Sometimes the greatest gift is not a material possession, but the knowledge, skills, and confidence to build a fulfilling life on their own terms. So, as you consider what to pass on to your children, remember to weigh not just the emotional significance of the gift, but also the practical realities and responsibilities that come with it. The right balance could mean the difference between a gift that enriches their lives and one that complicates it. Now let's dive into the 7 things you should never give to your children. 1. Never give them unconditional money. When considering how to support your children financially, it's essential to think carefully about the impact of giving them unconditional money. While it might seem like an act of generosity, handing over large sums of money without any expectations or conditions can lead to unintended, often negative consequences. Have you ever heard the saying, "Easy come, easy go"? This perfectly captures the risk involved in gifting money without any guidelines. When children receive money too easily, they might develop a sense of complacency, a lack of ambition, and an unhealthy dependency on handouts rather than their own efforts. It's akin to giving someone a map without teaching them how to read it. They might have the resources, but they lack the ability to navigate their own path. Marcus Aurelius, one of the foremost Stoic philosophers, emphasized that true happiness is not found in external wealth but in cultivating internal virtues and self-control. If we simply give money without instilling these values, we deprive our children of the opportunity to understand the importance of hard work, responsibility, and financial discipline. This lack of preparation is a common downfall. Studies by Dr. Roy Williams have shown that 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation, and 90% by the third. The reason? These heirs often lack the knowledge and skills to manage, grow, and truly appreciate their inheritance. They are not equipped to handle wealth responsibly because they haven't been taught to earn it, manage it, or invest it wisely. Instead of giving money freely, a more beneficial approach would be to focus on financial education, teaching your children the principles of budgeting, saving, investing, and understanding the value of a dollar earned. Encourage them to work, save, and learn how to manage their own finances. This approach not only builds financial resilience, but also instills a sense of accomplishment and pride in what they achieve through their efforts. In essence, the most valuable financial gift you can give your children is not money itself, but the knowledge and tools to build and sustain their financial independence. By doing so, you're not just providing for them today, but equipping them for a lifetime of financial stability and success. Remember, it's not about making life easy for them, but about preparing them for the complexities of managing their own lives with confidence and wisdom. 2. Never gift them properties without preparation. Gifting a family property might seem like a loving and thoughtful gesture. After all, who wouldn't want to give their children a cherished piece of real estate filled with memories? But without the proper preparation, this gift can do more harm than good. Think about it. Giving your children a property without equipping them with the knowledge and skills to manage it is like handing a young sailor a ship without teaching them how to navigate. Properties come with a host of hidden responsibilities: taxes, regular maintenance, unexpected repairs that can quickly turn what seems like a dream gift into a burdensome financial nightmare. The philosopher Seneca wisely said, "It is not the man who has little, but he who desires more, that is poor." If we give properties to our children without ensuring they are ready to take on these responsibilities, we risk setting them up for failure, not success. Consider the modern example of the Martinez family. When their grandfather passed away, he left them his beloved old house, a gesture meant to unite the family in love and shared heritage. But instead of bringing them closer together, the property became a source of discord and division. Arguments flared over who would manage the upkeep, who would bear the financial burden of repairs, and whether the property should be sold or kept within the family. What began as a generous gift turned into a battleground of conflicting interests, resulting in strained relationships and fractured bonds. Such a scenario is not uncommon and highlights the potential pitfalls of gifting a property without proper planning and preparation. So what can be done to avoid such conflicts? First, it's crucial to involve your children in the decision-making process. Discuss the potential costs and responsibilities associated with the property, from ongoing maintenance and repairs to taxes and other expenses. Educating them about these realities helps them understand what they are taking on and ensures they are better prepared to handle it. It's also wise to explore various options together. Perhaps selling the property and splitting the profits would be a more practical choice, or turning the property into a rental could provide an ongoing income stream while keeping the asset in the family. Alternatively, managing the property as a joint family venture could strengthen family bonds if everyone is willing to participate and share responsibilities. Another important aspect to consider is the legal implications of property ownership. Have your children been educated on estate taxes, liability issues, and potential legal disputes that could arise? These are crucial factors that often get overlooked but can have significant consequences. Providing your children with the tools to navigate these complex issues is just as important as the gift itself. It's about giving them not just the asset but the wisdom and capability to manage it effectively. In modern life, where financial stability is often precarious, the burden of an unexpected financial responsibility can be overwhelming. This is why it's not just about the material gift, but about preparing them for what that gift entails. The goal should be to foster independence and readiness rather than dependency and unpreparedness. Are we giving our children a blessing that enriches their lives, or are we handing them a burden they are ill-equipped to bear? The lesson here is clear. Before giving a property, ensure that your children are ready for the responsibilities that come with it. Involve them in open and honest discussions. Educate them about the potential challenges and explore all options together. This approach not only prevents potential conflicts but also prepares them for the future, teaching them valuable lessons in financial responsibility and family cooperation. Remember, the true value of a gift is not just in the item itself, but in the wisdom and preparation that accompany it. So, before you make that generous gesture, ask yourself, are my children ready for this? The answer will guide you in making a decision that truly benefits them in the long run. 3. Never solve all their problems for them. We all want to shield our children from the tough realities of life, but there's a delicate balance between being supportive and becoming overbearing. When we step in to solve every problem for our children, we may feel we're protecting them, but in reality we're stunting their growth. Think of it this way. It's like going to the gym and having your trainer lift the weights for you. What benefit would you get from that? Absolutely none. Children, much like adults, need to face their own challenges to develop critical problem-solving skills and build emotional resilience. Overprotective parenting, often labeled as helicopter parenting, is when parents hover over their children's lives, ready to swoop in at the first sign of trouble. This approach, while well-intentioned, can lead to a lack of confidence and a deep-seated dependency. According to a study conducted by the University of Florida, young adults who were raised by overprotective parents tend to struggle significantly more with stress and pressure in their everyday lives. This isn't surprising when you consider that these young adults never had the chance to confront and overcome challenges on their own. They were never allowed to stretch their own emotional muscles and build the kind of resilience that is essential for adult life. So, what's driving this overprotective behavior? Psychologist Alfredo Oliva suggests that what often appears as love is frequently driven by fear. Fear that our children might fail, fear that they might suffer, or fear that they won't succeed as we hope they will. But is this fear truly serving them? Is it preparing them for the realities of life? Or is it shielding them from the very experiences that would help them grow stronger? Instead of jumping in to solve every issue, we should consider a different approach. Think about the wisdom of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." If we always remove these difficulties, aren't we also removing the chance for our children to discover what they are truly capable of? What if, instead of solving their problems for them, we guided them through the process of finding their own solutions? This doesn't mean abandoning them to struggle alone, but rather being there as a supportive guide who helps them navigate their challenges. Encourage them to think critically. Ask questions like, "What do you think is the best way to handle this?" Or, "Have you considered all your options?" This way, you're not just giving them a safety net, but teaching them how to weave their own. This process not only helps them develop problem-solving skills, but also fosters a sense of self-efficacy and confidence. They learn that they are capable, that they can handle difficulties, and that they don't need to rely on someone else to fix their problems. Let's bring this to a modern context with a relatable story. Consider Jessica, a single mother who always stepped in whenever her teenage son, Michael, faced a problem. From minor issues at school to more significant challenges like choosing a career path, Jessica was there to provide solutions. But when Michael went off to college, he quickly found himself overwhelmed. He had never learned to solve problems on his own, and the independence of college life felt more like a burden than a blessing. Jessica realized that her well-meaning interventions had left Michael unprepared for the realities of adult life. This is a common scenario. Many parents, out of love and a desire to protect, end up doing more harm than good by over-involving themselves in their children's lives. What if instead Jessica had encouraged Michael to make his own decisions, to experience small failures and learn from them? What if she had let him struggle a bit, knowing that through struggle comes growth? As Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic thinker, observed, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the challenges we face are not obstacles to our progress but essential parts of it. By facing difficulties head-on, our children learn to overcome them and grow stronger in the process. So, as parents, what can we do differently? The answer is to foster independence, not dependency. Encourage your children to tackle their own challenges and be there to guide them, not to do it for them. This approach is about building a foundation of strength and confidence. It's about teaching them that they are capable, that they can handle what life throws at them, and that they don't need to be afraid of failure. It's about showing them that failure is not something to be feared, but a stepping stone to success. Let your children face their own challenges. Encourage them to find their own solutions and be there as a supportive guide rather than a problem solver. By doing so, you're not just preparing them for life's difficulties, but also teaching them the invaluable lesson that they have within them, the strength and capability to overcome whatever challenges they face. In the end, the best gift you can give your children is not a life free of difficulties, but the skills and confidence to navigate those difficulties with resilience and wisdom. This is how we prepare them for a fulfilling and independent life, grounded in the virtues of courage, wisdom, and self-reliance. If you've made it this far, you're on the path to becoming a wiser parent. Drop a comment saying, "I am a mindful parent," to show you're dedicated to raising resilient and independent children. Stay tuned, the journey of wisdom continues. 4. Never give unsolicited advice constantly. We've all felt the urge to offer advice, especially to our children, hoping to help them avoid the mistakes we've made. But there's a fine line between being helpful and being overbearing. Constantly giving unsolicited advice can often do more harm than good, creating a situation where children feel they're not trusted to make their own decisions. Picture this. You're on a journey you've traveled many times before, and yet someone keeps telling you which way to go. It's not just frustrating, it feels like they don't trust your judgment. This is the impact of unsolicited advice. As psychologist Dr. Maria Martinez points out, when we constantly offer advice without being asked, we unintentionally send the message that we don't trust the other person's ability to make their own choices. This behavior can slowly erode their confidence, fostering a sense of inadequacy and creating emotional distance in the relationship. Elena, a well-meaning mother, learned this the hard way. Her constant advice, meant to guide her children, instead built an invisible wall between them. Her children started to pull away, feeling smothered by her constant input. But what if, instead of giving solutions at every turn, we tried a different approach? What if we focused more on listening, really listening, and then asked questions that encouraged our children to think for themselves? Questions like, what do you think is the best way to handle this? Or, how do you feel about this situation? Not only open up a meaningful dialogue, but also empower them to make their own choices and learn from their own experiences. This approach aligns with the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, who said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed." By fostering an environment where our children feel free to express themselves and explore their thoughts, we're not just guiding them, but also teaching them the value of truth-seeking and self-discovery. Reflect on this in the context of modern life. How often do we find ourselves stepping in with advice when our children come to us with a problem, rather than letting them talk through their thoughts and feelings? It's natural to want to protect them, but is this really helping them grow? Consider a modern scenario where a father, Tom, always tells his son how to handle every situation, from school projects to choosing friends. Over time, Tom notices his son becoming more withdrawn, less willing to share his thoughts or feelings, and more hesitant to make decisions on his own. Tom's well-meaning guidance was perceived as a lack of trust, causing his son to doubt his own judgment and capabilities. This example mirrors many real-life situations where unsolicited advice, though intended to be helpful, can have the opposite effect. So, what can we do to change this dynamic? The key is to shift from a mindset of constant advising to one of supportive listening. Instead of immediately jumping in with what we think is the best course of action, we should give our children space to explore their own ideas. This approach not only shows that we trust them to find their own way, but also reinforces their confidence in their ability to solve problems independently. As the philosopher Epictetus wisely noted, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This Stoic wisdom is a reminder that sometimes the best thing we can do is simply listen. Think about how this change could positively impact your relationship with your children. By allowing them to lead their own lives and make their own decisions, you're giving them the greatest gift of all, the chance to learn, grow, and develop their own wisdom. This doesn't mean abandoning them or not offering guidance when it's truly needed. Rather, it means choosing carefully when to step in and when to step back. Encourage them to think critically and reflect on their choices. Ask open-ended questions that promote deeper thinking and self-reflection, such as, "What do you think will happen if you choose this path?" Or, "Have you considered all your options and their potential outcomes?" This method not only fosters independence, but also helps build a stronger, more trusting relationship between parent and child. Ultimately, the lesson here is about finding a balance. It's not about withholding advice entirely, but rather giving it when it's truly needed and only when asked. By doing so, we allow our children to develop their own decision-making skills and build confidence in their own abilities. The result is a healthier, more balanced relationship based on mutual respect and trust. So next time you feel the urge to offer unsolicited advice, pause and ask yourself, is this really what my child needs right now? Or would it be more beneficial to let them figure it out on their own? The answer might surprise you and could lead to a more empowered and capable young adult. The takeaway is clear. Offer support, not solutions, and trust your children to navigate their own paths with your guidance as a safety net, not a controlling force. 5. Never compare them to each other. Comparing your children to one another, even when done with the best intentions, can cause significant and lasting harm. Think of it like trying to water a cactus and a fern with the same amount of water. They have different needs, and treating them the same can cause one to wither while the other thrives. Similarly, when you compare your children, you overlook their unique qualities and individual needs, creating an environment where resentment, insecurity, and rivalry can flourish. The story of Elena and her children illustrates this perfectly. Her habit of constantly comparing her kids set them up against each other, fostering competition instead of support. Each child began to feel undervalued, misunderstood, and pressured to meet expectations that were not their own, leading to a breakdown in communication and growing tension within the family. Studies from the University of Illinois support this, showing that frequent comparisons between siblings often result in long-term anxiety and self-esteem issues that can persist well into adulthood. As parents, it's vital to recognize that each child is unique, with their own strengths, weaknesses, and ways of approaching life. Imagine if we all had to fit into the same mold. How limited would our growth be? Instead of asking, "Why can't you be more like your brother?" consider highlighting each child's individual achievements and qualities. Statements like, "I'm impressed by how you handled that challenge," or "I love your creativity in finding a solution," can reinforce their sense of self-worth and encourage them to continue developing their unique abilities. This approach not only fosters a sense of individuality, but also helps build a more supportive and nurturing family environment. Consider a modern-day scenario to put this into perspective. Think of Jane, a mother who constantly compared her two sons, Tom and Max. Tom, the academic achiever, was always praised for his good grades, while Max, who excelled in sports, was often told, "Why can't you focus on your studies like your brother?" Over time, Max grew resentful of Tom, feeling like he could never measure up to the expectations placed upon him. He began to pull away, not just from his brother, but from his parents as well, believing that no matter what he did, he would never be good enough. Tom, on the other hand, felt guilty for being the preferred son and began to struggle with anxiety, worried that any slip-up would cause him to lose his parents' favor. The unintended consequence of Jane's comparisons was a fractured relationship between her sons and an increasing distance within the family. So, how can we avoid falling into this trap? The key lies in celebrating each child's individuality and recognizing that each has something unique to offer. Encourage them to pursue their own interests and passions and validate their achievements without comparing them to their siblings. This does not mean ignoring areas where they may need improvement, but rather, approaching each child with the understanding that growth looks different for everyone. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely said, "Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life." Each child's journey is their own, and they should be encouraged to live it authentically, without feeling they need to compete with anyone else's path. By shifting your focus from comparison to individual recognition, you help your children build their own identities and self-esteem. This, in turn, reduces sibling rivalry and fosters a more harmonious home environment. Instead of pitting them against one another, you are teaching them to support and uplift each other, to appreciate their differences, and to work together as a family unit. Remember, children thrive when they feel seen and valued for who they are, not for how they measure up to others. The lesson here is simple yet profound. Never compare your children to one another. Instead, nurture their unique qualities and encourage them to grow in their own way. This approach not only strengthens the individual child but also promotes a healthier, more supportive and united family environment. Encourage a culture of mutual respect and understanding, where each child feels free to be themselves and is motivated by their own goals, not the achievements of their siblings. By doing so, You create a nurturing space where every child can flourish, knowing that they are loved and valued for exactly who they are. This shift from comparison to celebration is a powerful step towards fostering a family dynamic built on love, respect, and mutual support, providing a strong foundation for your children to grow into confident, well-rounded adults.
6. Never impose your dreams and expectations on them. We all envision bright futures for our children, filled with success and happiness, but there's a fine line between dreaming for them and imposing our own dreams upon them. Think about it. Being given a map to a destination you never wanted to visit can feel suffocating and disheartening. You're being guided somewhere you don't want to go, and it doesn't take long before that guidance feels more like a chain holding you back. This is what happened with Elena and her children. She had grand aspirations for them, believing that her well-defined expectations would motivate them to achieve greatness. But instead of becoming a source of encouragement, those expectations turned into a heavy burden, causing stress and a sense of inadequacy when they couldn't measure up. Remember the insightful words of psychologist Carl Jung: "The shoe that fits one person may be too tight for another." This quote perfectly encapsulates the idea that each child has their own unique path, and what might seem like the right direction for one could be completely unsuitable for another. Our role as parents is not to dictate every step they take, but to support them in discovering their own path. Excessive expectations can often lead to feelings of anxiety, stress, and a profound sense of not being enough. When children feel pressured to meet standards that are not aligned with their own desires or capabilities, they may begin to doubt their worth or feel that their own dreams are somehow lesser. This can create a harmful environment where they feel trapped between pleasing their parents and pursuing their own happiness. So, what's the alternative? Instead of setting rigid goals or projecting your own dreams onto them, consider a different approach. Encourage them to explore their own interests, to dive deep into their passions, and to define what success means to them. Ask open-ended questions like, "What do you want out of life?" or "What are you passionate about?" and really listen to their answers. This not only shows respect for their individuality, but also empowers them to think critically about their future and what they truly want to achieve. Consider a modern example. Sarah always dreamed of becoming a doctor, but circumstances led her down a different path. When her son, Alex, showed an interest in science, she immediately latched onto the idea that he would fulfill her unachieved dream and become a doctor. She enrolled him in advanced science courses, signed him up for pre-med programs, and constantly talked about his future in medicine. But Alex, though interested in science, was more passionate about environmental studies and conservation. He felt trapped by his mother's expectations, torn between disappointing her and following his heart. The constant pressure to conform to a path that wasn't his own began to weigh heavily on him, causing anxiety and a sense of failure. When Sarah finally realized what was happening, she decided to step back and ask Alex what he truly wanted. This simple act of listening transformed their relationship. Alex felt a newfound freedom to pursue his passion, and their bond strengthened as Sarah supported him in his chosen field rather than the one she had envisioned for him. This story illustrates the importance of being a guide rather than a dictator in your child's life. It's about providing the tools and support they need to carve out their own journey, not forcing them down a predetermined path. As parents, it's natural to want the best for our children, but it's crucial to remember that the best is subjective. What we see as a successful and happy life might not align with their vision. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In the same way, the happiness of your child's life depends on their ability to pursue their own dreams and aspirations, not yours. By allowing them the freedom to make their own choices, you're giving them the greatest gift of all, the ability to build a life that is true to themselves. So, how can you put this into practice? Start by having open, honest conversations with your children about their goals, dreams, and fears. Encourage them to explore different interests and fields, even if they seem unconventional or differ from what you envisioned. Show them that you value their unique strengths and support them in their personal journey of self-discovery. This approach not only fosters independence, but also helps build a stronger, more trusting relationship based on mutual respect and understanding.
The lesson here is straightforward yet profound. Be a guide, not a dictator. Allow your children the freedom to pursue their own dreams and support them as they navigate their unique paths. By doing so, you help them develop the confidence to follow their own hearts, make their own decisions, and live a life that's truly theirs. This shift in perspective can lead to a more harmonious family dynamic and a deeper, more meaningful connection with your children, ensuring that they grow up feeling loved and valued for who they are, not for who they are expected to be. 7. Never let them take you for granted. As parents, our natural instinct is to give to our children endlessly out of love and a desire to provide the best for them, but there's a fine line between generosity and enabling dependency, and it's crucial to set healthy boundaries to ensure we are not being taken for granted. Think about it this way. If you keep pouring water into a bottomless well, you'll eventually find yourself drained, with nothing left to give and no real impact made. This is exactly where Elena found herself with her son Carlos. She was always there, doing everything for him, from cooking and cleaning to covering his expenses, without any appreciation or reciprocity in return. Over time, she realized that her actions, though well-intentioned, were preventing Carlos from learning important life lessons about responsibility and gratitude. Khalil Gibran, a renowned philosopher, once said, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself." This profound statement emphasizes the importance of recognizing that our children are individuals with their own paths to follow, not extensions of ourselves. They need space to grow, to make mistakes, and to learn how to stand on their own 2 feet. Setting boundaries is not about withholding love or support. Rather, it's about giving what is needed to foster growth and independence. By asking Carlos to contribute to household expenses and take on more responsibilities, Elena wasn't being harsh. She was teaching him valuable lessons in accountability and self-reliance. This shift from being a constant giver to setting reasonable expectations allowed Carlos to appreciate what was being done for him and recognize the importance of contributing back. It's about creating a balanced relationship where love is not defined by how much you give, but by how well you prepare your children to thrive independently. Consider the modern context of this lesson. Many parents today find themselves caught in a similar cycle, continuously giving to their adult children, financially, emotionally, and practically, without establishing any boundaries. While it may seem like the right thing to do, it often leads to a sense of entitlement, where the child begins to expect, rather than appreciate, to receive without reciprocating. What happens when we allow this dynamic to persist? The child, much like Carlos, becomes reliant on their parents, failing to develop the essential skills needed to navigate the complexities of adult life. They may struggle with basic responsibilities, from managing their finances to maintaining their own homes, because they were never required to do these things themselves. This lack of self-sufficiency can lead to a perpetual cycle of dependency, where the child is ill-equipped to face the real world without their parents' constant support. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, once remarked, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This Stoic wisdom suggests that challenges and obstacles are not meant to be removed, but embraced, as they are what drive growth and development. By continually removing these challenges for our children, we rob them of the opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. So, how can we, as parents, ensure that we are fostering independence rather than dependency? The answer lies in creating an environment where boundaries are respected and responsibilities are shared. It's about having open and honest conversations with your children about expectations and encouraging them to take ownership of their lives. For instance, instead of doing everything for them, consider asking them to take on specific tasks or contribute financially if they are living at home. This doesn't mean you love them any less. In fact, it's a form of love that prepares them for the realities of life. Encourage them to make decisions, face the consequences of those decisions, and learn from their experiences. This approach not only builds character, but also instills a sense of accomplishment and pride in what they achieve through their efforts. The lesson here is clear. To truly love your children is to guide them toward independence and self-sufficiency, not to keep them reliant on you. It's about teaching them to value both themselves and others, to understand the importance of give and take in all relationships. When children learn to appreciate what they have and contribute back, they develop a deeper understanding of the value of work, effort, and reciprocity. They become more resilient, capable, and ready to face the challenges of life with confidence. This kind of balanced parenting leads to stronger, more respectful relationships, where both parent and child grow and learn from each other. By reflecting on these points, you can see that true wisdom in parenting is not about giving endlessly, but about fostering resilience, independence, and self-reliance. It's about knowing when to step in and when to step back, understanding that sometimes the greatest act of love is to allow your children to struggle a bit, to find their way, and to emerge stronger for it. As Marcus Aurelius taught, what stands in the way becomes the way. Use these lessons to help your children carve their own paths to a fulfilling and responsible life, where they can stand tall and thrive, knowing they have both the strength and the skills to succeed on their own terms. As we wrap up today's video on the 7 things you should never give to your children, let's take a moment to reflect on the profound lessons we've explored. In our quest to support and provide for our children, it's easy to forget that true love and guidance aren't about removing every obstacle or giving them everything they want. Instead, it's about equipping them with the wisdom, resilience, and strength to face life's inevitable challenges on their own terms. When we give unconditionally, be it money, property, or even unsolicited advice, we risk depriving our children of the invaluable opportunity to grow, learn, and build character. Each of the 7 points we've discussed today centers on the importance of balance, striking the right equilibrium between offering support and allowing our children the freedom to fail, to try again, and ultimately, to thrive. Consider this. Every time we solve a problem for them, or shield them from hardship, we may be doing more harm than good. We might unintentionally create dependency, stifle their ambition, or prevent them from developing crucial life skills. Instead, by fostering an environment where they are encouraged to navigate their own paths, we help them build the confidence and competence to manage life's complexities with grace and fortitude. The lessons of Stoicism remind us that wealth, whether material or emotional, is best managed with a mindset of moderation and intention. Marcus Aurelius taught that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This powerful philosophy encourages us to view obstacles not as hindrances, but as necessary steps in personal growth. By allowing our children to face these impediments, we grant them the chance to discover their own strengths and capabilities. So, as you consider your own approach to parenting, mentorship, or guardianship, think about how you can balance support with independence. Ask yourself, are you empowering your children with the tools to build their own future? Or are you unintentionally holding them back by trying to make their path too easy? True wisdom lies in knowing when to step in and when to step back, understanding that sometimes the greatest gift we can give our children is the freedom to find their own way. Before we go, I want to thank you for joining us on this journey of exploring Stoic wisdom and how it applies to modern parenting and life. If you found this video insightful and believe it can help others, please consider liking the video, sharing it with friends and family, and subscribing to our channel, Stoic in Your Life. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos, where we continue to delve into the timeless teachings of Stoicism and how they can guide us in living more thoughtful, balanced, and meaningful lives. Thank you for being a part of our community. Your support helps us continue to bring valuable content that empowers you to navigate life with wisdom and clarity. Until next time, remember to embrace the journey, cherish the lessons, and live with the resilience of a true Stoic. We'll see you in the next video.